What is going on, guys? It is Wrestlelamia here, back with some more news. Join us now as we look at the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know, including Vince McMahon running creative, WWE Morale has been nuked, what happened after Raw, Brock Lesnar talks finishing wrestling, and much more. Be sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell for daily wrestling videos, and follow us on Facebook for exclusive lists. Also check out our new channel, Wrestlelamia Shorts. Now let's hit the intro and get straight into our first story. Our first story looks at numerous changes made to Raw. Now, as the saying goes, the proof of the pudding is in the eating, and last night's Raw was anything but palatable. A clear sign Vinnie Mac was back in charge. Although Triple H's shows have not always been grand slams, many fans agree the WWE product had improved tremendously. The last night's show was difficult to get through. However, as bad as the show was, the reports about the show's production are what seemed to confirm the return of the mustached McMahon. PW Insider's Mike Johnson provided details of what happened backstage. PWInsider.com is told about 15 to 20 minutes before Raw went live on air, a number of late rewrites for the episode were ordered, described as not feeling the type of changes talents and staff had come to expect under Paul Levesque. Changes for the episode continued on the show well into being on the air, and we're told that came directly from McMahon, who had his own office at Raw, just as he did before his quote-unquote retirement in the summer of 2022. Dave Meltzer confirmed Johnson's report, then elaborated on Wrestling Observer Radio. He was running TV tonight. He's back. It's what it was. It will be what it was before, and if people think that was bad, it will be bad. And that's just the way it is. The TV show was changed when Vince got there, and it was changing as the show was going on. And that was tonight, and that will be what it is going forward. If these accounts prove to be true, which seems certain judging from last night's Raw product and the reports of many last-minute changes, it's likely more than a few WWE fans will be praying for another scandal to sideline Vince from WWE. Next up, WWE Morale has been nuked. And not surprisingly, reports are coming in that morale in WWE is incredibly down. According to PW Insider, among some talents we spoke with, there was a huge negative shift in morale as they realized that things were going back to exactly where they were before Paul Levesque was placed in control as Chief Content Officer. One source said that the place felt nuked, but others didn't go that far, the report stated. The morale in WWE greatly improved under Triple H, both among employees and wrestlers, with reports of a more relaxed working environment, holidays for staff, and less uncertainty about short-term and long-term plans. There were accounts that working in the WWE became a much less stressful place. If Vince returns to running the WWE his way, expect morale to plummet. As for wrestlers, Triple H's approach to booking and dealing with talent provided a stark contrast to Vince's approach to running things. PW Insider's Mike Johnson pointed out the reasons why. A big part of the feeling is that Triple H is genuinely liked and trusted by the talent, as many of them worked with him in NXT, where they found their characters they portray today. The feeling of security that they had before from SummerSlam through WrestleMania is no longer given. Many feel it will be a far departure from how some felt before Monday. If last night's Raw is any indicator, it's back to business as usual, which is going to be bad for wrestlers and, more importantly, WWE fans. Next up, what is Triple H's role in creative? If Mr. McMahon is running creative, what is Triple H going to do now? Now, we could go into snark mode and say, close your eyes and tell us what you see, but you've probably already figured out that the game's role will be greatly diminished. Dave Meltzer commented that Levesque will be head of creative and will be doing busy work and all that stuff. Vince is going to have the final say in everything. Unfortunately, there's no gambling sites covering WWE management, or we'd bet how long it will take before Triple H is bumped up into a meaningless executive position or decides to retire to spend more time with his family. Knowing the way Vince operates, Triple H's role as Chief Content Officer will be a figurehead position at best, something history has already shown as we'll document in our next story, as history repeats itself. It looks like Vince is also relying on his go-to catchphrases to keep reporters guessing as to what he's up to next. Recently, Vince was asked about his role in creative, telling reporters yes and no. On a higher level, yes. In the weeds, which I always loved to get in the weeds in the past, no, I can't do that. However, WrestleNomics' Brandon Thurston tweeted this in 2019. Back when McMahon hired Paul Heyman and Eric Bischoff to handle the heavy lifting and creative, why is now the right time for the move to hire Heyman and Bischoff? Vince, a logical one. I can't personally be in the weeds any longer. Both have an extensive backgrounds in the business. It allows me to have a broader overview. They'll have a lot of latitude. Unlike 2019, Vince hasn't wasted any time getting back into the weeds, and based on his previous behaviour, this shouldn't surprise anyone. Next up, a sense of inevitability. While Vince's apparent return to creative has led to a sense of dread, wrestling news reports that some wrestlers felt McMahon's return to running creative was inevitable. In fact, as soon as Vince returned to WWE, people began speculating on how long it would be before McMahon stepped back into the driver's seat to running creative. Any knowledgeable fan knows this right out of the Vince McMahon playbook. Next up, what happened to Cody after Brock's brutal beatdown? If you're wondering what happened after Brock's brutal beatdown on Cody, well, PWMania is reporting once the show went off air on the USA Network, the cameras kept rolling and WWE.com released footage which shows Rhodes making it to his feet a few times only to collapse. Perhaps surprisingly, the WWE didn't go one step further and have Brock Lesnar show up with his front loader to tip over the ring and bury Cody, finishing what some fans are beginning to believe was Vince's game plan all along as soon as Cody returned to WrestleMania 38. Rhodes suffered a hellacious beatdown which would presumably sideline him for several weeks, but with Vince apparently running things, Cody could show up on Raw next week with a handful of band-aids. This match would seem to lead towards a big showdown at the King of the Ring, a high-profile venue that seems better suited for a star of Brock's caliber than, say, Backlash. What do you guys think is next? Let us know in the comments down below. Next up, Brock Lesnar talks finishing wrestling. Lesnar's heel turn and assault on Cody has caused some fans to wonder whether the rumors of Lesnar leaving the WWE after WrestleMania 39 were accurate. Lesnar spoke with Wrestling Inc. on the 2nd April about his future in the company. Every time that I think I want to be done, I get in the ring and I get to the building, and that's part of the business that I really love. I left the business early because I just didn't like to travel. I'm just a simple man, and it was just too much for me at the time. I don't know how long I'm going to be around. I don't know that. Well, it appears that Lesnar will be around for at least one more match with Cody, and Vince McMahon's return to running the WWE could convince him to stay around longer. Lesnar has repeatedly spoken about his friendship with McMahon, so he may just want to spend more time with Papa Vince while also getting the big bucks for beating down wrestlers in 5-minute matches. Next up, was Cody vs Roman a Triple H idea? While the WWE Universe deals with the shock of Mr. McMahon's return, a new question has come up. Was Cody Rhodes vs Roman Reigns a Triple H move? There has been speculation about who Vince McMahon was going to have Roman Reigns face if The Rock couldn't wrestle, which turned out to be the case. Dave Meltzer spoke on this on the Wrestling Observer Radio, saying, "It was always going to be Cody or The Rock versus Roman, and that was up to The Rock either way. That didn't change with Triple H, that was Vince McMahon's thing. One thing that is unclear is who decided to have Roman retain against Cody. While the reports have come in that the decision was made several weeks ago, it's unknown who made the call. Who do you think booked Cody to lose, Triple H or Vince McMahon?" Next up, Lita was beat up. A Saturday 6-woman match involving Damage Control versus Lita, Becky Lynch and Trish Stratus was a highlight of WrestleMania's first night. Unfortunately, Lita's involvement in the bout didn't go off without a hitch, as she showed fans a shyness she sustained during the match. Lita shared a photo of her black eye on Instagram along with the caption, "You should see the other guy." Lita is scheduled to defend the WWE Women's Tag Team Championship against Raquel Rodriguez and Liv Morgan next week. Next up, Bayley absent from Raw. A Damage Control leader's Bayley was absent from Raw, and while wrestlers don't show up every week, Fightful Select reports Bayley was originally booked for the show only to have her segment cut. Now a 2nd April tweet from Bayley has some fans thinking she may be taking time off. And sometimes the most romantic love story comes to an end. Bye. Have they decided to dismantle Damage Control now that Vince is back, or was this tweet just a coincidence before Bayley's absence? Next up, Seth's strange segment. Raw featured some surprisingly strange segments, including Seth Rollins coming out to the ring, leading his fans to sing along to his song, but then heading back to the locker room. But you're not the only one who was surprised, as some fan footage suggests Rollins was waylaid by a sudden script change. And finally, you can't fool Roman. Last but not least, Seth Rollins' surprise wasn't the only footage showing some extracurricular happenings. Twitter user Elsa tweeted, "Roman telling a fan he smells weed and he knows it's them because their eyes are red." Judging from last night's Raw, creative may have been under the influence of something else as well. But there you have it, folks, the wildest news stories and rumors you need to know. Be sure to leave your comments down below. I'll see you next time with some more wrestling content.